Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Wake up, goddammit. Hey, man. Oh, man, my phone just ain't working today. What to do, everyday people? We up in this thing. If you follow me on YouTube, we lit. If you follow me on TikTok, we lit. If you follow me on Twitch, we lit. If you follow me on um, Facebook, we lit. If you follow me on YouTube, of course we lit. It's kind of hard. We got another live video for y'all today. Thank y'all for pulling up. Of course, your presence is always felt and appreciated. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, man, we about to get lit, dog. I guess y'all see what's happening. Before we go into what's going on, of course y'all see the title. Charlie Kirk's text leak. More on the government shutdown. Again, last night I found something that I found important about the government shutdown. I will be releasing that again tomorrow, like putting all the videos out. So you can see, like this, that's the most important part about this government shutdown. Like it's really broken down. Like we listen to everybody who talks about the government shutdown, but we never got the answer of why the government shutdown happened, and it's because of the healthcare. Well, we uncovered the truth, and it's crazy. I'm like, well, that's what we've been looking for this whole time. So maybe when we can take a deep dive into that this weekend. Tomorrow is Friday. Y'all know I'm gonna try to have the live call in if I don't have no screw ups for tomorrow. I'm supposed to be doing some cooking, so hopefully I'm just ready and I can figure out what's happening with my kids, because my kids, they got stuff going on and all this other nonsense. But anyway, we're gonna do a live call in about the healthcare. What healthcare that's keeping the government shut down. We're gonna definitely, I want everybody to tap in. I want to get some people's opinion on what they think about the situation with the healthcare, because that's probably the most important part of the whole government shutdown. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this video. Thank y'all for pulling up. I will be working on my background later, because I know y'all tired of seeing this green screen. I'm actually tired of it. I want to get rid of it, but I got a lot of nice stuff in here that I want y'all to see, but it's just, it ain't clean. It ain't like polished, so I want to polish it up. So just because I want y'all to be just as amused as I am. I'll be looking at my shit and be like, damn, but y'all only see this green screen, so y'all be like, you know, it is what it is. So let's get into
it. Him, and I am now going to present. Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing.
I just want to tell y'all, man, how big Candace really is right now. And if y'all are not paying attention, she is a force to be reckoned with. And she is exactly what Charlie Kirk was afraid of, is black women. And as much as he talked bad about black women, this woman is brilliant. You might not like her, but she ain't stupid.
Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again,
now, this goes back to what I was saying about Nick Cannon, Kanye West. Everybody thinks it was just because they were black. No. There are people who wield their powers, and they wield it strong, and they use a rhetoric they in their defense, they use a rhetoric that makes it seem as if you're being hateful towards them, so they silence you with the hate clause, because there's a hate clause for these individuals, and that way they can go on with their narrative, and they won't be questioned about it. But continue.
this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay? So what are we to make of that? Okay, now that I'm showing you this and showing to you that the conversations were real, I want you to reflect, and it took me a lot of patience to allow the lies that were being woven and the misrepresentations of people that were pretending that I was just, high on lying about Charlie and the pressure he was under, the attacks that not just me, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly faced for trying to stand up and tell the truth about what Charlie was actually going through. Why are you hearing it, though, from me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? Isn't that weird? You got people that are hosting a show. Have they, in like one honorable thing, come out and said, like, you know what? F a couple of these donors who made his life a living hell in the last couple of weeks? Why haven't they done that?
Also, this plays into the conspiracies of the person who actually took out Tucker Carlson. I mean, not Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk. Oh, don't let Tucker go down, then I'll be getting blamed for it. But the person who took out Charlie Kirk, the guy's father was able to, I don't know 100%, but he was going to claim the reward money for finding the person who took out Charlie Kirk. And it was a large amount of money. All I gotta say is follow the money, and you'll find what's going on.
There's also a rabbi in that chat. Like, why hasn't anybody made that move to at least say, to vindicate what I have been saying about what he was going through? That registers to me as very suspicious. I'm going to frankly say that. It's suspicious to me. It makes me think that in the same way that...
Hold on. I did not say Charlie hated Candace. Charlie disliked black women. What is Candace? I mean, come on, man. How many times did he degrade black women? Said they weren't competent enough. These aren't just sound bites. These were his words. And what is Candace? So let's think about it. Come on, man. That's why I said she's the person that he feared the most. Black women, because he degraded them so much. It don't matter that they was friends.
Charlie was being pressured by money, that you might be now run by that same money, that those same donors might be running you. Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying.
But I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friends' trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care. We're not investigating every lead. We're not looking under every stone. And that somehow we're just sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it, and no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
Yeah, so it has been so frustrating to have people blow up about this.
Yeah.
And I've certainly stated publicly, the reason I haven't weighed in on things is I am an eyewitness to events, and they've said, don't comment on things because anything you say can mess that up. I don't want to mess up any trial for the person who did this.
That's 1,000% right. And I will say I wasn't an eyewitness. I was not there. I flew to Utah immediately to be with the family and the team, but I was not an eyewitness. So there's that. But I am aware that in my role as spokesman for Turning Point USA, which is another hat I wear, that things I say, I'm cognizant of the fact that things I say could negatively impact an ongoing investigation. All right. But I will weigh in specifically on this issue of Israel because I know there's a lot of fascination. And I just want to say that, we have to let free speech be our North Star here, okay? Charlie was adamantly free speech, and I am not personally going to impugn anybody's character who is asking questions and looking for answers, all right? And I will say that text chain is consistent with public frustrations that he voiced many times, and I know, Blake, you were in the trenches on a lot of this stuff because we were workshopping how we were going to do the tour and what he's going to get asked about Israel, what was he going to say. And this is consistent with things that he told his friends, people that are, in the wider movement about his wrestle that he was going. And so I just want to say, what is the truth about the way Charlie felt about Israel? Well, it's complicated and it's nuanced, and it was a wrestle that was going on for months. And it's probably somewhere between the BB letter and the text.
So what do we think? Okay, obviously, you can tell he's anxious. You can tell he's nervous speaking about this. I am sure it was positively frantic at Turning Point USA yesterday. I am sure he had very little sleep. And like I say, never the fun thing to be the spokesperson and also to be involved in the story. I can tell you right off the bat, he is telling the truth. He was not the person who shared that message with me. He also should know that he was not the only person who sent that message and sent messages around. So there are a lot circulating, some videos that are circulating. And he's being honest about that portion. I personally, as someone who knows Andrew Colby, I want to express how I feel. I hold it against him, actually, that he didn't share it with me. He knew I cried on the phone with Andrew. He knew how I was feeling. And then I went under a very, well, you could say a blitzkrieg, right? A heavy bombardment from people who he knows hated Charlie, who tried to stop Charlie, people who had no issues showing up to his memorial. I mean, really gross stuff who were attacking me. And he could have at least provided some cover. Now, I'm not saying that I need help, but sometimes it's nice to offer somebody a lifeboat when they're being.
I'm telling y'all, give it a few months. This Charlie Kirk situation is gonna be way bigger. And then everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna push forward the movement of him, you know, what his whole stance was on everything." That's what everybody was about to push forward. And they said that the movement is going to be bigger than ever. No, the stuff that's going to come out in the coming weeks is going to blow your mind. Because I'm telling you, the FBI's on this, CIA, the Home Shopping Network, everybody is on this.
Being attacked for telling the truth, right? So I do want to say that. Also, I'm glad that Andrew responded correctly, because I was going to say this when Blake's like, well, you know, the investigation's ongoing. That text message has nothing to do with an investigation whatsoever. It has to do with the broader question of people feeling that Charlie's legacy is intentionally being hijacked by Israel. I never stated that Israel killed Charlie. Anybody that's been watching this investigative series, we've come up, I mean, there hasn't even been an Israeli name that's popped up in this investigation. There's only been one Jewish person, I think, that's popped up thus far in this investigation, which is George Zinn, Decoy Boy. So they're just saying that. They're just saying that. I just wanted to say that he was under a tremendous amount of pressure. Now, regarding, the other things that are circulating that have not been publicized yet, and people should know that there is an underground movement of truth tellers in this moment. Okay. There's an underground movement of knights all around the world, from mom sleuths to government employees, like he said, to personal assistants, to Turning Point USA donors, who are working together to bring justice to Charlie, because we don't like the way this feels. We just don't like the way it feels. The vibes are off. I will respect, even though obviously that statement was prepared, I will respect the fact that Andrew says what Charlie would have said. And for the first time, I feel that's been expressed, that we have to let free speech be our North Star. And I'm not so sure that some of the people that are donating to Turning Point USA believe that. In fact, I'm certain some of them don't believe that. Obviously, we wouldn't have that text message if they all believed that.
I just want to point out something. In the chat here, they saying, shut your anti-Semitic mouth up. Now, that is the rhetoric that I'm talking about. Nobody has to hate anyone. When someone is speaking about a certain individual or a certain group of people in a manner or context that is being laid out, she's not saying that this is the whole culture, this is the whole religion. These are certain people who just happen to be in this religion. They happen to be wealthy, and they happen to push the line on certain issues. It's not on the whole culture, it's on these people who control media, who control the music, who control the TV, who control, and it's all about control. It's not really about hate. It's like, if you want someone to support you, don't pressure them into supporting you. And then, but money rules everything. So what do? I'm gonna take my money from you. Whether that's anti-Semitic or not, it's not. It's just like, that's just a person. If you don't like something, if I don't like McDonald's, I'm not going to give McDonald's my money. That won't stop McDonald's, is what I'm saying. So if you don't like something, don't give it your money. And then, but when McDonald's says, oh, America don't like our burgers, well, I'm going to just shut America off with our burgers, and I'm going to keep our burgers over in these countries. And McDonald's is just going to take their money and their business elsewhere. That's what it is. That's all I'm saying.
And that is what I think has been so frustrating is that it seems as though the executives would rather, and I'm now referring to Tyler Boyer, impugn the character of the people who are doing exactly what Charlie Kirk would have done. So please, Andrew, make sure that Tyler Boyer and Alex Clark get the internal memo about free speech. I want to say one more thing rather explosively. 3 people told me off record, 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie, one who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they?
I also want y'all to be paying attention to the date, 9/10. What's after 9/10? 9/11. There's more significance. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just be traveling down some rabbit holes, and I got some friends that be rabbit holing with me. And I be like, damn, that's crazy. But I'm not here for conspiracies. I'm here for facts. So we just gonna wait till we get the facts.
Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him? Now, to give the obvious answer to federal informant Nick Fuentes' question, the reason that I waited to reveal the text messages is because I'm not a child. Okay, like I said, I have a lot more. I'm not an idiot, and I have self-control, and I understand that time is always going to be on the side of truth. Time is on the side of truth. Liars know that that's the reality. Liars know that they have to speak quickly, that they have to speak repeatedly, and I wanted the world to truly understand just exactly what it is that we are up against, okay? People that I deem to be mentally and spiritually evil, okay? Evil in the true essence of the word evil. People who knowingly lied, instantly lied, repeatedly lied, and continued to do so without a trace of shame. Okay? Without a trace of shame.
But I want to...
I believe Candace is on to something, and all of us, we're going to follow this in the next coming days. I've tapped into Candace's shows, and just to understand more of where she's at and where she's coming from. Now, what I come here for is the facts and the truth. And if I can't listen to all sides and all parties, then I'll be lying to myself. And I don't like to lie to myself, and I will definitely not lie to y'all. Now, I may say some off the wall stuff, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all, okay? And if I see BS, I'm gonna call it out. So, and thank you all for taking in this info with me as we watch.
It is day 8 of the government shutdown, but it is day 19 of the House being on vacation. How is it possible that the party in charge of the government is sitting at home while the government is shut down? Well, let's take a look. So this is the House schedule. These yellow blocks are work days. It's already a pretty nice schedule. Most people, if they are fortunate, get either 7 days or 10 days of vacation. Some people get less, some people get more, but nobody gets this amount of time off. Now, we call that a district work period or a home work period, and that's true. We need to be home to interact with our constituents, but that's what August is for. So here's what happened. They left early on the 25th, specifically to avoid a vote on the Epstein files. Then they had this week off, 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 this day off, come back. 1, 2, 3, long weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, long weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, long weekend, another break, another break, another break, and now they're saying another break. Get back to work. Get back to work. We are.
I told y'all, for this government shutdown, they need to be in there from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's a fact. They need to be at work. The country is their job. They are failing at their job. If I had to grade them on what their job is to do, they get a C minus. And if they turn in they work late, which they're already late, we're day 8 of a government shutdown. Hey, they're late, dog. We docking off 10 points every day. We 10 points. And we ain't even docking off the people who not getting paid. We should dock more, because now you have people not showing up to work. Now people can't travel. Now people can't get health care. Now people can't go to DHS. Now the IRS is closing.
Facing a healthcare crisis, and we didn't pull this out of some Democratic strategist lab. And the presiding officer knows this in his home state. Prices are about to spike disproportionately among people who voted for Donald Trump, disproportionately in rural communities, disproportionately among farmers. And they're not going to spike a little. This is not like normally 4% increase is now 7%. Price of health care is about to go up 114%. 114%. So you can find some people who are only paying like a 40 or 50% increase, and you still can't afford that.
Okay, if you watched the stream from last night, you will understand why healthcare will rise. It's not because the American people, it's because of, and I'm not finna blame them, but I'm finna blame them, the illegal immigrants. Because when they go to the emergency room and they have a stay there and they don't get approved for Medicaid, Medicare, whatever that helps the cost of the hospitals have to turn people away because they don't get approved, or the hospital's got to take the people in. The hospital has to get their funds back. Who they gonna get the funds back from? The American people who pay their healthcare costs, and healthcare will rise because that hospital still has to be paid. We're gonna go back to that. We're gonna revisit that tomorrow. So if you're here tonight, come back tomorrow for live call-ins to tell me how you feel about what I just said.
People can't afford a 40 or 50% increase in the cost of almost anything. But healthcare is a big chunk of the cost of living. And so here we are, as Democrats, saying, help us help you, Republicans. You created this mess that is causing your signature legislative achievement to be a drag on your electoral chances. But we want those 24 million people to have relief. And so we're simply saying, we can open the government tomorrow morning if Donald John Trump realizes that he's hurting his own people.
This says, how is it possible that the party in charge of the government is sitting at home in the middle of a shutdown?
If this is going to get solved, it's probably going to get solved organically by rank and file Democrats, because their leadership has no interest in a solution. When Chuck Schumer is saying this is getting better for us every day, that's not somebody who wants to see this get resolved. And they are pandering to the left-wing special interest groups out there who have demanded this and demanded this showdown with the President of the United States. And so we've got a bill, as I've said, that's passed the House, that's sitting at the desk in the Senate, that we could pass today, put it on the President's desk, he would sign it into law, and this shutdown whole fiasco ends, and people can get back to work, and we can start paying the federal employees who are starting to miss paychecks. If this is going to get...
All right, so in the midst of that, I'm going to go back to this video so we can understand what I'm talking about.
Listen, I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm not even saying you have to love it. But the government shutdown is the complete fault of the Democrats wanting illegal immigration to have free healthcare. Now, I'm really tired of just seeing stupidity in my comments and just...
Yeah, I will agree with you on that one. There is a lot of stupid going around.
The complete ignorant from the left in the past 2 videos, so I did the research for you. And I read Chuck Schumer's proposal to the Senate, as well as the acts that he was referencing in the big beautiful bill that Trump had passed. So let's go over it. So in Chuck Schumer's proposal in Section E, which I'll pull up over here if you read it, basically says that they want the big beautiful bill's federal cuts to be repealed, specifically under this certain act that is written in said big beautiful bill. Now, what's this act? Let's get into it. So the act, which I'll pull up here.
Okay, just so we're all clear and there's not any confusion, she's using the wrong word. There is no act inside of the big beautiful bill. That is the act. It's an act of Congress. It's a piece of legislation. So we're not talking about 2 pieces of legislation here. We're just talking about the big beautiful bill, okay? She's just using the wrong word.
Basically states that the federal government will be cutting funding from Medicaid, and that immigrants who are not documented, right, illegal immigrants that are undocumented will not be eligible for Medicaid, meaning they were eligible for Medicaid before and now they're not.
First of all, if you are an undocumented immigrant, you are ineligible for Medicaid. You cannot apply for and then receive Medicaid. That's the current federal law. That was the current federal law before the one big beautiful bill passed. Second of all, I thought you told us that you read it, that you did the research for us so that we didn't have to. You said you read it. You didn't read it. Or if you did read it, you didn't comprehend it. So let's read it together, shall we? This is what you shared, right? This is what you shared, and you had highlighted, unless such an individual is, and then you also highlighted Section 3, an alien who has been granted the status, yada, 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 down there, right? This is what you're not understanding. Read the first part of this. In no event shall payment be made to a state under this section for medical assistance furnished to an individual unless such individual is, the first one, a resident of one of the 50 states, a citizen or national of the United States, an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence. The next one, an alien who has been granted the status of Cuban and Haitian entrant as defined in section yada, yada, yada. And the last one, an individual who lawfully resides in the United States in accordance with Compact of Free Association, referred to in section yada, yada, yada. You didn't read this. Let me break this down a little further. In order for you and your claim to be correct, in the provision of the bill that you shared on your screen, one of those bullet points would have had to have read, we, the Congress, are changing federal law to disallow undocumented immigrants from applying for and then receiving Medicaid coverage, right? Then you would be correct in saying, well, the Democrats want to repeal that provision and therefore want to give back undocumented immigrants the right to apply for and then receive Medicaid coverage. Then you would be correct. But it didn't say that in the provision that you shared. It doesn't say that anywhere in the one big beautiful bill because current federal law and federal law before the one big beautiful bill is such that undocumented immigrants are ineligible. They are not able to apply for and then receive Medicaid coverage. It's against the law. Undocumented immigrants, per federal law, do not have access to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, even the Affordable Care Act. Now, in my opinion, should they? Yes. But that's not what congressional Democrats are asking for. They're not. Republicans are lying to you. It really is that simple. And they're going to keep doing that because they assume that you are too dumb to read anything. Stop proving them right. You guys are not dumb. But they think you are because you let them.
Okay, and this is what we will be talking about tomorrow. So if you want to call in and express, I'll highly suggest you kind of do a little bit of TikTok research and find out who else is talking about this so you can have your talking points, because I do want to, I'm not going to prove you wrong, but I want y'all to express yourself. Tell us why you mad. That's what the call in is called. Tell us why you mad. And this is it. This is what we shut down for. So if y'all want the truth, here's the truth. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program because I got some nonsense for y'all.
As the government shutdown hits the 1-week mark with no end in sight, President Trump today issued a new threat saying that furloughed federal workers may not be reimbursed with back pay once the government reopens.
For the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way, okay?
That reverses what's been long-standing policy and possibly goes against a 2019 law that ensures back pay for federal workers. Here with more on this is our White House correspondent, Liz Land.
Wait a second. Who made that 2019 law? Who made the 2019 law that back pay will be issued to federal workers who continue to work under a government shutdown?
Here's Liz. It has been a very busy day for you.
Yes.
So what exactly is the administration threatening to do here and why?
So PBS NewsHour obtained this memo. It's a draft memo that was written by the general counsel at the Office of Management and Budget. And in it, they believe the administration has the interpretation of that 2019 law that they actually don't have to pay these furloughed federal workers any kind of back pay. Now, that 2019 law was passed after the longest government shutdown in history to give protections to employees so that they would be assured to get back pay after that kind of shutdown.
And it was President Trump who signed it.
And it was President Trump who signed it. Excellent point. In this interpretation from this new OMB legal counsel, they're basically saying that that 2019 amendment gives a permanent authorization for the furloughed workers to get back pay once the federal government reopens, but it does not require it. There's also another sort of addendum in there that the administration is leaning into, saying that the Congress, that when they reopen the government, has to put this, the federal furloughed worker back pay, into whatever funding bill they're doing. So they're trying to find some loopholes here. And this was written for Russ Vought, who's the director of the
Last night, if you tuned in, I said there's a loophole that they are leaning into, and because us as the American people, we don't pay attention to this stuff. We don't pay attention to the fine details. When you receive something, when you get something in the mail and it says, "Hey, you've won $1,000," you be like, "Oh shit, I won $1,000," and then you start to read it and you be like, "Oh, I gotta sign up for this, sign up for that. I gotta sign up for this." You be like, "Oh no, rip this mail up, rip it up. I don't want it." But when you go to your furniture department, when you go to your furniture store, and you about to purchase some furniture on credit, right? And they say, "Oh yeah, you could purchase this furniture. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give you 0% interest. You know what you buy, you know, you can buy it and you're gonna get it for that price only." You be like, "Oh yeah, I can get it for that price." They be like, "Yeah." They don't tell you that special price financing is only for 3, 6, 9, 12 months or whatever. But you signed up for a 24-month financing. You signed up for a 24-month financing, so you think for all 24 months, you're going to be paying for this stuff. But if you pay for 24 months, you're going to pay this thing off with interest. So, but if you pay it within 6 or 9 months or whatever the fine print, you have no interest. This is that bill in 2019. We didn't read the fine print, and now fast forward 2025. Now Trump pulls it out the hat. "Oh, remember that little thing? Did y'all read the fine print of this bill? We don't have to give you the money. This is all contingent on based on what y'all want." Got him.
Office of Management and Budget, and he has been working with the president, we know, to slim down the federal government, threatening these mass layoffs through other kind of mechanisms. So between this new memo and the mass layoff threats that we've been hearing, it seems like the administration is putting pressure on Democrats to end this shutdown.
Quick question here, though. Is this legal?
Well, according to a few people we talked to, probably not. The largest federal workers union that I...
No, answer the question. Is it legal? Yes or no? We don't want to hear your way around this. Is it legal? Yes, it's legal. Understand, it's legal. And they got us.
Spoke with, or that put out a statement earlier today, said that this is an obvious misinterpretation of the law, and also said that it is inconsistent with the Trump administration's own guidance from a few days ago, which said that furloughed employees should receive retroactive pay. I also talked to Shalonda Young, who was Biden's OMB director, and she said that the 2019 law makes it very...
I don't know who this is, but she just lied to our face because it's in there. It's in there. They don't have to pay the furloughed employees back pay. They put that loophole in there just in case they needed it as a pawn to win this chess game.
Very clear that Congress has the intent to pay these federal workers who've been furloughed. She said that the federal government always pays federal employees once they've been furloughed. And she also made the point that this will surely spur Congress to add this into the funding bill that they're working towards but have not yet passed.
Think that this government shutdown can't get any worse? Mind you, we already have thousands and thousands of people already furloughed, right? Cool. Now the IRS has just furloughed 46% of its staff. That equates to 34,000 people. And the thing that is something I've been calling out is that if you are one of those impacted, tap in with your bank, tap in with your credit card company, say, hey, can I move payments to a certain date, or can I do a hardship thing? That's what I've been telling people. But the thing that is also pricking me a little bit is that traditionally, whenever there is a shutdown and you're furloughed, that whenever the country does open back up per se, is that you get back pay. Now, the current writers of the economy, which is funded by Secession as well as Game of Thrones, is backtracking on that. So I understand people voted for this, but damn, Gina, I really truly feel that this is going to get worse. We already know it. We already anticipating. So even if you can't save 3 to 6 months, save something. Have an emergency plan as much as you do as a fund. I want you to go and see how much it costs your life to run if you were to get laid off, or if you were to get furloughed. How would your money flow? What can you call what creditor to say, hey, this is what I need this is what's happening, this is what I need to do, or whatever. That is the reason why, heck, I even talked about this in my emergency plan and fund guide, because this shit's not laying off. I even had a section that talks about those that if you are finding that WIC in Mecklenburg County has 2 weeks left. If you are finding out that you have WIC and your WIC gets hit, what are you going to do? The food banks are getting tapped out. So this is not even the tip of the iceberg, I fear.
We're now seeing lawmakers confronting each other in front of the cameras. Was it just political theater?
Oh, Nick, good morning from the Capitol. Look, the government shutdown has officially entered week 2, and it really shows no signs of going away anytime soon. That blame game between Republicans and Democrats very much continuing at this point, and it actually led to a very tense moment between Republican Representative Mike Lawler and the Democrats' House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Take a look.
You wanted Republicans to be here. I'm here. Why are you? And by the way, you can pass an ACA extension right now. Sign on to this bill. Did your boss sign on to the bill? Is your boss Donald Trump behind it? HR 5145. Why don't you get on?
You're a complete and total embarrassment. Yeah. You're embarrassing yourself in your district right now, and you're going down to defeat next year.
Now, to add on to this government shutdown stuff, Nick, if the shutdown continues this time next week, 1.3 million active duty U.S. military members will start missing their paychecks. Democrats want to see a standalone bill that gets the forces paid, but House Speaker Mike Johnson says those paychecks can come if Congress passes the short-term spending plan drafted by Republicans. President Trump actually seemed to voice support for a standalone bill on Wednesday, adding that the military is always going to be taken care of. But Nick, if no deal comes by next Wednesday, it'll actually mark the first time in modern history that active duty military members miss a paycheck during a government shutdown.
Now, I want to let y'all know that I do have sources that say about the government employees and their pay, but I don't know for a fact of what is to come with government employees, but they are also going to be affected, and that is more than the 750,000 employees. We're talking about the government. We're talking about everybody. Millions of people will be affected by this shutdown if this continues.
Day 8 of the government shutdown and the IRS is officially furloughed. It means that 53%, just a little bit over half of the IRS, is actually working. This morning I called the IRS to resolve a notice for a client, and I got their voicemail and they hung up and told me to try again later. So initially you're like, yay, the IRS is closed, no tax. Wrong. Penalties and interest continue to accrue. This now means slower processing for refunds and processing tax returns. But whatever unresolved issues you have with the IRS is still in play. There is no forgiveness. If you have a notice that you need to resolve, I suggest responding to the notice, old school USPS, send it certified mail, so you get a receipt and proof when the IRS receives it. Depending on what your notice is for, you can just respond in a letter or like send a bank statement if they need additional information on expenses or whatever. But I would try to address it before the due date and have proof of it. No, don't.
This is for the American people. I want you, some of this stuff I throw in there for educational purposes. Just because you watch it don't mean you can't do this. If you need this, you need to do this.
Don't get it twisted. I got nothing to do with this, okay? I am the messenger. I am helping you navigate this system, but like, please don't come for me for it. I'm just telling you how.
President Trump has said on multiple occasions that he's going to get rid of the IRS and he's going to replace it with the ERS. And I was actually at the inauguration in Washington, D.C., and my favorite part of his speech was when he said, we're going to use tariffs, okay? The External Revenue Service is going to go external, is going to go out there and collect tariffs from foreign countries and foreign companies. And he said, we're going to use the tariff money to enrich the lives of the American people. Amazing, amazing. And he's already generated $500 billion in tariff money, and he hasn't even gotten started yet. Now, the IRS is collecting $2 trillion a year. So we've got a ways to go before we're able to collect $2 trillion from tariffs. However, with DOGE on the scene and cutting waste, fraud, abuse, pulling out the money laundering, being able to close down now with the shutdown, close down agencies, fire long-term federal employees, we're going to see those numbers, our financial needs as a nation, drop by billions and billions and billions of dollars. Now, there are people out there that say that the IRS is no longer. Have y'all heard these people? I mean, I'm in the tax business, IRS, that's what I do. And people will say, even on TikTok, they'll be like, the IRS doesn't even exist. The agency has been abolished. We are free. And I'm like, well, that's weird because they're still sending letters. You know, they're still wrecking people's lives. But have y'all heard that, or am I the only one? If you've heard it, put a comment down below. And I read every single one of them because I'm curious. I really want to know. And if you're one of these people that says the IRS has already been abolished, please give me your sources. Please bring receipts. My belief at some point in the future, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, maybe Trump does it, maybe his, the predecessor does it, or the next president does it. But I do believe that the IRS will be abolished. I do believe the Federal Reserve will be abolished. But what if we didn't have to wait? What if there were a way for you to bring your federal income taxes from whatever they are all the way down to safely and legally by following the law as written on the United States government website? Well, that's what I do. And that's what I've been doing for a long, long time. And I've helped lots and lots and lots of people do that. I actually wrote a book about it that will walk you through the entire process and teach you how to do it yourself. And you can get it from my website. I'm not going to mention it, but you can put a comment down below or DM me and I will send you the link to the book, the audio book. If you speed up the audio book, you can go.
Okay, maybe I'll pin his stuff in there because maybe he makes. If you want to do your research, do your research. It's just a good thing. That would be great. But if we don't pay federal taxes, there are a lot of things that our federal government pays for towards the state. So what does that mean? Our state taxes will still rise because the states can't go anywhere else but to the federal government to receive funds. So your state taxes will rise. If you live in Texas, y'all pay out the ass for things like property tax because y'all don't have a state tax. But if there's no federal tax, though, you're going to have a state tax, including those high property taxes. Because somehow the state has to be funded. Then, or your property taxes will rise. And guess your renters aren't going to be paying that. The renters aren't going to be paying it. It's going to be the homeowners. It's going to be the commercial building owners, the landowners. Those are the people who will be paying those taxes. But Texas, biggest Texas is a lot of rural area, a lot of USDA loans out there, a lot of agriculture. They get benefits from having. They get federal benefits. Will those go away too? Those could possibly go away. I don't know the long-term effects of this, but we just have to see. If it happens, if it doesn't, we just continue on with life. But if it does, you just got to see what happens. I don't know. We don't know. We can't tell the future, but when they told us gas prices and the price of groceries would go down, they wasn't telling the truth.
We need our millions, and I'm not going to jail. Hello, I'm at the IRS, and then they talking about they taking us to jail if we don't leave because 2 women had a fight, but they taking it out on all of us. All of us need our millions, and it's not right. People got kids. Anything goes. Yeah.
How long were you waiting in line?
I've been waiting for hours. You feel me? And we want our millions. I ain't going nowhere back for my return. I need my money. Real talk. And this ain't right what they doing. And that's going to be a bad disrespect. They better know it today at the IRS. Yeah. I need all moms. All 7,000 of moms, baby. All of it. All of it. I ain't doing no plan. This is the second month I came out here. And I'm not finna play with the IRS. I'm not and go to jail behind me. Yeah. We need
the IRS better get to work. This is an old video, but this is from earlier this year. But or last year, not this year. I see this, I was like, IRS, y'all better give us our money on, okay? Get y'all's asses back to work, but we gotta open up the shutdown first.
We are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore confidence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. We don't have to worry about it yet. That's a long time. You know what 1 week is for me? An eternity.
1 week for me is a long time. We'll take care of it. Our military is always going to be taken care of. Yeah, please.
This government shutdown is going to go on for weeks. We are in day 7 of the government shutdown, and they are not even voting on it. In Washington, they're not even in session. No one's voting on this clear resolution bill continuing. And Trump said yesterday, because all of these federal employees are now furloughed, he said yesterday he doesn't know if he's going to allow these furloughed employees to get back pay from the time they're not working. So how does that land? While they're playing games and not even in a conversation, the last vote they had, I think 2 nights ago, they were like 1.5 trillion so we can give the illegal migrants free healthcare or we're going home. And the Republicans were like, we can't give illegal migrants free anything anymore. There are veterans sleeping under bridges. There are whole families living in their cars. There are people who don't even have any kind of health care, go to work every single day. So if there's any 1.5 trillion going anywhere, it should go to them. Why would we give it to people who are not even citizens of the United States of America? Why can't the Democrats tell us why the illegal migrants are more important to them than American citizens? And why do people who vote Democrat not see that? Why do they not see that? You want your taxpayer dollars to go to someone who's not an American citizen as opposed to it going to an American citizen? You're okay with veterans sleeping under bridges, families living in their cars? You're okay with that? You're okay with these federal employees who are now furloughed, who already struggled to pay their bills like everyone else, and now they don't even have a paycheck, but the expectation is they go to work every day? So now that Duffy guy said yesterday, now there's an uptick in call-outs. Of course, I wouldn't go to work for free either, especially when I do go to work, I still can't pay my bills. So now what's happening, when I said in my last video, this was going to impact more than people not getting Social Security checks because they're getting their Social Security checks allegedly. Now what's happening is it's impacting travel because the air traffic control workers are not going to work. There was already an airline-wide staffing shortage. So now you furlough the air traffic controller people, the one that tells the planes when to take off, when to land. They're not going to work now. In Burbank, California, Google this if you think I'm making it up. They cut off at a certain time of night. They call San Diego and they say, hey guys, we're out. Can you manage our flights? Because they don't even have enough airline traffic controllers to work through the night at the Burbank airport. The Burbank airport has 4 gates, 4 effing gates, and they can't even manage that overnight because there was already a staffing shortage, and the staff that they had, they're like, we're not working overtime. We're not going to work. So now I heard that there's talks about some airport in Chicago. They're getting ready to close it down. I don't know if it's O'Hare or Midway. And Austin yesterday, 2-hour flight delays. And it wasn't because their Wi-Fi wasn't working. It's because they don't have employees. The people that check your bags, make sure no one's bringing anything on the plane that they're not supposed to bring on the plane, they're calling out. And now Trump has, I don't even know if I'm going to pay them when they go back. So now where's the incentive for them to be like, let me just go because it's a government thing because I'll get my back pay. And you might not. Is the Democrats really going to allow this to go on 7 days? Because they are hell bent on illegal migrants getting free health care. It's the wildest thing. I can't even believe that this is happening. We've had shutdowns before. Remember, Obama was down for 17 days because the Republicans didn't want to vote for Obamacare. They don't care. This shit can stay shut down for months. It doesn't impact them because those people up in Washington, they get their paychecks. So you don't get yours and they get theirs. It makes sense, and tell me in the comments why you still vote for Democrats.
See, we hear it on both sides, but she brought up Obama, the government being shut down for 17 days. Meanwhile, I mean, y'all seen the last government shutdown. Do I have to bring the statistics? I'm not a statistics guy. but or the facts. I'm a facts guy. The last government shutdown was for 30 some days. Anyway, it's all good. I agree for a large majority of what she says. But again, that's why tomorrow we want to talk about the healthcare. The healthcare that they have in this bill, and a solution to this loophole in the healthcare. But if the healthcare is what we're after, nobody wants to outright pay for illegals to have healthcare coverage. But when they go to the hospital and they get serviced, where does that cost go to? It goes to the hospital. The hospital can't just eat that cost. So they have to go to the government to get the money back. Well, if the government refuses to pay the money, what in turn will they do? Raise the price of healthcare, which falls on who? The American people. That is the holdup. Where do we find money to keep the hospitals open? That's the thing. Where do we find the money to keep the hospitals open so that we're not paying? Because that's what nobody wants to pay for illegal immigrants' health care. That's everybody's issue. Well, that's definitely the Republicans' issue. But that's the issue that's holding the government shutdown. So we can sign this bill, but I guarantee you people in the rural areas, it may not be all of you, but let's just say, okay, in Oklahoma, in a lot of rural areas, there are these marijuana farms. So all these marijuana farms have all these immigrants, Chinese, Mexican, all of them, right? They not legal. They're not. And they've been busting them left and right all through Oklahoma. Just look up medical marijuana farm busted. You're gonna see it. Thousands. Say one of those people get hurt. Say one of them get pregnant. Say one of them get in a bar fight and get sent to the emergency room to lose their life. Those hospitals in those rural areas still take those people in. If those small hospitals who only get maybe one emergency a day, and if that's an illegal immigrant and the government doesn't pay that, that hospital is going to shut down. So where's your next hospital? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour away, 2 hours away? Do you think that'll be helpful for that community? No. All they're going to say is stop hiring illegals. But then who's going to work those farms? Yeah, it's medical marijuana. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's tomatoes and apples and stuff like that. But medical marijuana is a big commodity in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's fat as fuck. Nobody's eating apples and pears and watermelons and stuff. Okay? Let's be real. They're smoking weed and eating McDonald's. And McDonald's, as I said earlier, if they take all the McDonald's away and go to other countries, which will never happen because we fat as fuck in Oklahoma.
We took out, and here's what they want us to put back in. We found that under President Biden, they were spending $3 million for circumcisions and vasectomies in Zambia. We took that out. The Congresswoman says, we're going to shut down government till you put that back in. We found $500,000 of American taxpayer money for electric buses in Rwanda. We found $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance focus groups for male prostitutes.
This was under the Biden administration.
I'm not making this up.
This was under the Biden administration. This is what they're bringing up.
In the budget under President Biden. We took it out. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez in the socialist wing, the loon wing of the Democratic Party, says we're going to shut down government until you put it back in. I'll just read you a few more that we took out. They are demanding we put back in. $6 million for media organizations for the Palestinians. $833,000 for transgender people in Nepal. $300,000 for a pride parade in Lesotho. $882,000 for social media and mentorship in Serbia. $4.2 million. We took it out. The Congresswoman and the socialist wing of their party says we got to put that back in for the open government. $4.2 million for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex people in the Western Balkans and Uganda. I could spend the rest of the afternoon here. We took out, and here...
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together.
I wasn't served well by the people that pick judges. I can tell.
President Trump skirted a federal judge's orders by sending troops from the California National Guard into what he's calling war-torn Portland.
I think I turned it to a whole different, topic, but I want to get into another one before I go. That could be something we talk about tomorrow. Let's hear from this guy.
Hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
What do you think about Stephen Miller saying Trump has plenary authority?
I can't say I'm surprised that one of the most racist and fascist people in the Trump administration wants the president to have the complete power to enact his racist and fascist policies. But it's a little surprising that he managed to let that slip up on a CNN interview of all places.
What exactly happened and what is plenary authority?
Stephen Miller went on an interview Monday morning with CNN's Boris Sanchez, where he was being questioned about whether Donald Trump has the power to do a lot of the things he's doing regarding ICE policies, immigration suppression, and things like that. And Stephen Miller made a comment that under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority, which is basically absolute power with no limitations, right? The authority that like a king or an autocrat would have. He mentioned that the president has plenary authority when it comes to ICE and immigration enforcement. And first of all, that's not true. There are very few examples of true plenary authority in the U.S. government. One of the few examples is the presidential pardon power. But beyond that, the U.S. government and our Constitution is set up to prevent plenary authority. The whole idea with the system of checks and balances is the idea that the power of a monarch or an autocrat is very dangerous, and that it shouldn't be given to anybody. And so with very few exceptions, it doesn't exist. And certainly Title 10 does not give the president the authority to act as a king in regards to immigration matters, despite what Stephen Miller said. But that's not the real scandal in and of itself, right? He certainly said that, and in this case, he's kind of just saying the quiet part out loud, what all of the Republicans and MAGA and the racists and the fascists want. The real scandal is the fact that immediately after he said that on this live interview, he froze for about 15 seconds and was basically just sitting there quiet, blinking, moving his head a little bit in what seemed to be a situation where he was listening through his earpiece to counsel from whoever his advisors are.
He was listening to MAGA Mike. Ah! MAGA Mike told y'all last night. But anyway, he did continue on with the conversation, but they edited it and put the rest of that conversation in. But as you can hear, he's telling us there's no plenary authority. So we can kill that noise. All that noise about plenary authority, we can kill that. It's not in existence. It can't happen, and it won't happen. And that's why you have what you have with the judge blocking Trump, because it just can't happen. So there has to, Chicago and Memphis, two different things. I think Memphis is on the ball with the federal government and to fight the crime, because there's been like 300 arrests, hundreds of guns been found, things of that nature. But in Chicago is fighting back, and they don't want the help. And it's kind of alarming, not for myself because I don't live in Chicago, but for the people of Chicago. I think they will be upset, and I think they will be put in a more worse position if they keep fighting back on getting the help from the federal government and working with them to control the crime in those high crime areas. And that's just my opinion. I don't want to see the government just run over a city and take over a city, but I do think they need to work together, and that's a fact. But the only reason why I think Donald Trump is targeting these cities is a political. He has a political hit list of cities that pushed back on him in his first term. And that's what that is.
And after that 15 seconds, CNN went to commercial break and then came back and pretended like it was just a technical error. So first of all, that's suspicious, right? Just the fact that he froze in the first place and stopped talking. This is clearly something that he wasn't supposed to say in the first place. It's perhaps showing their hand a little too much at this point, when a lot of the Republicans still believe that the government is functioning as intended with checks and balances. If you go into conservative spaces, a lot of them still think that. And then on top of that, what's really suspicious to me is the fact that CNN basically covered up for him, right? CNN is supposed to be this very left-wing liberal news source. It's in fact considered to be one of the most liberal news sources, at least by the Republicans, right? And they immediately went to break. They came back and pretended it was a technical issue. And then in follow-up videos posted to YouTube of the interview with Stephen Miller, they edited out any mention that he made of this plenary authority, right? So CNN is also covering up for Stephen Miller and the Trump Organization by editing out this very obvious and very serious error that he made in speaking. And while it's not surprising, because CNN, like almost all the major news sources in the U.S., is now owned by Republican megadonors, it does go to show to the public just how corrupted our media has become, that they're editing out such a clear autocratic statement from somebody who has a lot of power in the U.S. to enact policy against immigrants and other minorities, and is using that power through ICE and through the Trump administration to cause real harm to those communities inside the U.S. And I think it's important that the American populace doesn't let this slide, right? We have one of the chief White House staff advisors saying the president has unlimited power, when the whole creation of the United States was to rebel against the idea of an individual with unlimited power, a king, in the first place. And we saw the No Kings protest a couple months ago. There's another one coming up in a little over a week on October 18th. And everybody needs to go and protest this, because the president is not a king. He's not an autocrat, and he doesn't have plenary authority, regardless of what Stephen Miller says.
Breaking news that you probably didn't see on the American news outlets, but I got you, because guess what? I use my VPN, and I stay on top of what the fuck is really going on in America, so that you don't have to. But if you need to, go fact check my shit, okay? Especially before you come in my comments and ask stupid questions or make stupid ass comments. Here we go. Trump has fired the Navy Chief of Staff, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the head of the Navy SEALs, the Naval Operations Chief, the U.S. Naval Reserve Chief, the head of the U.S. Cyber Command, not like we need his motherfucking ass, the head of the U.S. Cyber Command, the head of the Defense of Intelligence, the Coast Guard Commandant, the Air Force Chief of Staff, the Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, the top of AF Global Strike Command, the top legal officer of the Air Force, the top legal officer of the Army. Are y'all seeing a trend? And the top legal officer of the Navy, and the top legal official of the CIA. Did you see that on the news today? Bet you didn't. But here you go. Like I said before, fact check my shit if you don't believe me. That is what's happening in your country today. Yo, well.
I actually have I wouldn't say a colleague, but a guy, because I used to work in shipping. And I'm talking about like, not like Amazon shipping. I'm talking about like actual cargo ships. And I had to deal with American Coast Guards and all sorts of the tariff information. I had to deal with all that. And that's just a small portion of how I worked in sales. And I used to have to go to these conferences, so I would meet with these people. And you can go back on my Instagram from millennials ago, and you'll see your boy suit and tied up and talking to these people, and not talking to these people, but I'll be in some of these conferences taking selfies like, shit, I'm about to fall asleep in this mug. Because they were boring. It was just jibber jabber. But a lot of these times I would meet people, have lunch with people, and I become friends with these people because I see them often. I talk to them and see how my business affects their business affects my business, and how could we work together and what could we do. And one of the guys that I would frequent with that kept me in a loop was one of the top staffers in the Coast Guard. Guess what? He was fired. But y'all don't have to take my word for it. Butterfly in the sky. I could go twice as hard.
Trump has been doing this thing where he sets the house on fire and then puts it out, and we all supposed to clap. And the more times he starts more fires, the less time we have the ability to capture exactly what's going on.
Especially
so it's just flooding with all this culture war.
shit,
It's the trade war shit that just happened. Donald Trump just started the dumbest and shortest trade war of all time, and he's getting credit like he won something because it's so.
He didn't get anything. Literally.
Trump, via executive order, threatened tariffs and imposed tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, our three biggest trade partners by like a long run. He did 25% on all imports from Mexico and Canada. Oil and energy from Mexico and Canada is tariffed at 10%, and he did 10% on all imports from China. He says we're gonna do all that. I'm like, why? This nigga talks about, the fentanyl and the migrants are coming in, and Canada and Mexico isn't doing enough to stop it. Neither is China. China's on the other side of the fucking world. Okay, cool. Because China has a underground fentanyl market. Yeah, cool. You want to know what I found out in the research for this? First of all, back in December, Canada, they signed a $900 million deal to work with the United States and their border to like toughen up the border. They have Black Hawk helicopters. We were just talking about Black Hawk. They have Black Hawk helicopters flying over the border and a lot more like equipment there to stop the fentanyl trade, right? They already did that back in December. Then Trump blew this shit up and is like, no, y'all not doing enough. Ask me how much Canada like makes up of the fentanyl trade.
How much, J. William J?
Less than 10%.
It again?
Less than 10% of the fentanyl that enters the country at all has anything to do with Canada. One of the things that they did to talk up this whole thing, the Trump press secretary goes out there, she's like, oh, fentanyl's killing tens of millions of Americans. Trump and JD Vance are going out there, they're saying, oh, this fentanyl is killing 250,000, 300,000. At the peak of like overdoses and opioid epidemic, like 2022 and 2023 was when it was worse for fentanyl. The top it ever reached was 114,000. That's still a lot. That's still really bad. Leading up to these tariffs that he just implemented, it was falling by more than 21% since June of 2023. It fell below 90,000 deaths in a 12-month period for the first time in half a decade. On top of this, the U.S. DEA, they said the amount of fentanyl they've seized on the southern border from Mexico has decreased from last year by about 20%, and the potency of the pills that they're getting are way less. We're already having you're
already on the road.
Yeah,
exactly.
On top of this, the Biden administration and a bunch of people within the DEA, U.S. drug officials, were saying that the Biden administration and things that they were doing with China was already getting more of a handle on the street fentanyl trade, right? So from every angle, this problem is starting to be solved in the same way that border crossings are lower than they were at fucking the beginning of Trump's first term. He does tariffs, blows up the fucking economy for it, and then does it a day later and is like, yeah, nah, we're good actually.
Talking about someone on the Instagram comments talking about, man, this is bad short term, but you need to look at the long term.
Yep.
I'm like,
You look at the long game. A lot of these motherfuckers can't survive
long term. You'll be malnourished long term.
The thing is, we're gonna come out of this and they're gonna say, oh, Trump, you know, he threatened the tariffs and they got them to change their tone. Canada agreed to do more of what they were already doing. Mexico was like, hey, can y'all not do this? Also, you gotta crack down on them guns that y'all keep giving to the cartel. Trump was like, okay. And now we have a 30-day truce. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. We're bullshitting.
Let me tell you what it is.
We're bullshitting. Trump has been doing.
Hey man, shout out to these young kings, man. They doing their research and figuring it out. Listen, man, that's what we gotta do. We gotta tap, like, man, as Americans, we gotta tap in. We gotta understand what's really going on in our country. It's not all cut and dry. It's things that are happening, and a lot of talking points are being put out there, but we're not breaking it down enough, and we're not understanding. As citizens, we're not understanding what's going on. And that is the reason why I tap into so many influencers and people who do the research. And I'll tap in because now I have a platform to utilize to bring more information to the people. We're not Congress. We're everyday people. You taking your black ass to work in the morning, or white ass, or Mexican ass, whatever ass you got, you going to work in the morning. Or if you got the day off, maybe you going to OU Texas weekend. But whatever, you're not worrying about the tariffs when you go to the football game Saturday. You're not worrying about the IRS being shut down. You're not that's not something you should have to worry about. But when this comes to us, we have to know what's going on, and that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing it to you, as I'm being schooled just as much as you're being schooled, and I hope y'all come back tomorrow where y'all can school each other. Y'all can come in, call in, tell us why you mad. We can talk about this healthcare. We can talk about the tariffs. We can talk about just about whatever you want to talk about, except for your wife cheating on you. We don't want to talk about your wife cheating on you. That's a whole nother segment for Everyday PJ. But if you want to talk about how you got a narcissist baby mama or anything, you can definitely hit me up and we can talk about that. And you can be on my daily show where I'll basically watch, nonsense. All right, everyday people. This was another great night. It was another informal night. So thank you all for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Okay, we will be back tomorrow. So, man, America first, and I'm gonna bring it to y'all. Okay. Thank y'all for joining in. And thank you to all my mods. I appreciate y'all. Y'all did a wonderful job, as always, every night. And so y'all shout out to the mods. Put a shout out to the mods in the chat. Because we love and respect them. So, and they keep the chat lit. All right. And I'm out of here. Do I need to sing for y'all first? Butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. Reading rainbow. Shout out to Lee Hall. to something to do something. Shout out to Lee Hall.